Well, good to see you guys out on a Tuesday after Labor Day. A little bit different day, but not much different than what I told you post game from the Union ball game. We did some good things. We didn't do very good in certain situations, but they're correctable, and it was good for those things to happen. That you can go back and say, hey man, if we don't do this a little bit better, it could cost us a victory down the road. So it was good teaching tool for our guys. It's a lot easier to teach after you win. Guys are in a little bit better spirits. Probably the biggest disappointing thing was a lot of our young players had the big eyes in the game and didn't play particularly well. Some of them got better as the game went. So that again, that's a big cause for concern because we're heading into a bigger venue this week. And like I told the guys last Friday, hey, you're going to have to mature in a hurry because we're counting on you guys to give us quality reps during the course of a ball game. So that's something we got to get better at. But again, that game's over with. We're 1-0, so that's as good as we can be right now. Go play Louisville, as all of you well know, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, I mean, they're a much better team than the team we played several years ago. I know that was Coach Strong's first year, and he did a great job of building that program up to where it is now. And now they're being coached by, in my mind, one of the best coaches there is in college football, bar none. You can say what you want to say. He's one of the best, and there's no question about it. And if you watch the same game that I watched last night, I make the call right now that they will have a chance to play for the ACC title. They're either the best team or second best team in the ACC if they stay healthy. They were really, really impressive. So we already had our work cut out for us. They didn't go into triple overtime. They didn't get in a big fight like I'd hoped they would and have their team be suspended this week. That didn't happen. So we got to go up there and again, just play the very best that we can play and become a better football team on Saturday than we were last Thursday versus Union. Any questions?
We talked about the players against some of the younger players against Union who had the wide eyes. Obviously, playing the atmosphere at Louisville completely different. Are you worried about that again?
Well, sure. You know, I mean, again, I told you before the beginning of the season that you got a bunch of young players. They excited me because they're very athletic. It was cause of concern because they didn't have any experience. So they got to grow up in a hurry. I'm sure they'll be better this upcoming week just because, it was their first college football game, and that's a big deal. It's a huge jump between high school and college, and it's a huge jump from our level to when you go play a team that's in the upper echelon of the FBS. So, yeah, that is a cause for concern, but hopefully we'll manage it a little bit better than we did game one.
Talk about some of the improvements you need to make. Coaches always say week 1 to week 2 you make the improvements. What areas were not so good, and how is that going to make it difficult playing a team like Louisville, trying to improve those areas that you weren't so happy?
First of all, I think it's just a consistent effort. That's kind of been the theme at every time that I've talked is we just need to be more consistent in everything we do. I thought we lost focus several times in the game, especially on a couple special teams. You can't do that in a tight ball game. Defensively, we give up 4 big plays, and we talk every week, don't give up the big plays. You know, let them work it down the field, but don't give up the big plays. We had 4 breakdowns in the game the other day that cost us 3 scores. So those are the types of things. It isn't a scheme-wise problem. It's just one guy maybe not doing his job, one guy not being focused, and that's what we got to improve in.
When you talk about defense, this is going to be a great test. They've got that Brown running back. They've got a quarterback that got some confidence. So talk about your defense playing against an offense like Louisville.
It's going to be tough. I mean, those guys are good now. I mean, I don't think everybody understands how big a jump playing a team like that is. They got 85 scholarships to our 63. I mean, you look at number 94 last night, their defensive end, outside linebacker. I mean, he's bigger than everybody on our team. Their running back's 240 pounds. I mean, he had 132 yards against Miami, and Miami's pretty good. So, again, we just gotta contain them. Don't let them get a big play early on in the game. And then, hope that they have some unforced errors. And then that's kind of what you got to hope for in a game like this.
Any lineup tinkering from
No, not really. We may move some of our linebackers. Joey Sikora, I'd expect to see him play a little bit more at the outside linebacker position. We've made a few change-ups on some special teams. We got to do a better job of managing our guys. You take a guy like Sean Samuels and Travis Taylor, both of those guys, they play just about every snap on defense. Our philosophy is play our best players on the special teams, but when you add 4 teams on top of that, you kind of got to pick and choose where you want to give them a blow. So we've made a few minute changes, but you probably wouldn't recognize it, just watching the ball game, Neil.
I guess, Jimmy, you had several big plays as far as the special teams. How much are you going to try to need some of that against Louisville?
Well, the big thing is you want those every week, but whenever you play up a level, that's where a lot of times the glaring weaknesses are, is when you go against you play your special teams, and we take great pride in ours. And we played down a level last week, and you could see the big difference in the special teams. I mean, that changed the course of the game very quickly. So when you play a game like this, you hope to neutralize that aspect, because that can change the game in a hurry. So will we be able to make some big plays? We hope so, but at the end of the day, we just got to limit and make sure they don't make any big plays.
You talked about when you played them a couple of years ago. It was a closer game. It was Charlie Strong's first year, like you said. This year, completely different team. But how much do you look back at that footage and tell your players that it is possible that a team like Murray State can go in and compete with a Louisville on the road?
Zero. You're talking a whole different ball club now. I mean, you're talking Louisville the first year with Charlie Strong to after what he built, beat Florida in the Sugar Bowl, beat Miami last year in the bowl game, and then watching that team play last night. I mean, it's 2 totally different teams.
What did you see from CJ that you liked, and what kind of things that you
For the first game, I was excited about him. I went a little inconsistent, concerned a little bit, threw a few balls high, which isn't very good for, quarterbacks can't throw them high. Bad things happen. But he's a 5th-year senior, and everybody, just say, well, he's got a lot of experience. He hadn't played much football in the college game. So I think he was a little nervous early on, but he made some nice checks, threw a couple good deep balls. I expect him to keep getting better. I mean, he's a gritty player, and I just really like where he's at right now. And I'm excited to see him grow and develop as the season progresses.
And he's more solid on the running back between Marcus and Pokey, or just 1-2 them?
Well, we played 4, but it's a 3-man rotation, so it'll be Pokey, Marcus, and Roman, each from here. We're here for at least for a few more games. Not any particular order. They just rotate by series, and depends on who has the best practice this week will get the first carry as they go out there this weekend. So that's kind of how we're doing it with those guys right now. All of them played well. Nick Taylor, he was a great. I shouldn't say a surprise. I knew he was a good player, but for a freshman, I really thought he went in and did a nice job for us the other night.
What about Wade and Jones in your secondary? Redshirt freshman, their first game.
Wade had a good game. I thought he played a good game. Cedric was very inconsistent. Got a lot to work on there. Too many mental errors. But he's got the skills. He can do it. Again, I think it was a byproduct of, hey, man, first ball game, first college game. And, sometimes you tend to go out there and you like I tell our guys, man, some of you just lose your mind when you run out there on the field. You forget everything that was ever told to you. And that happened a couple times. But I thought that Wade was very consistent. And I think, he's a guy last year that we almost pulled off the red shirt list. And we were fortunate we didn't have to. So we're very high on both of those guys. But right now, Wade played a really good game the other night.
You talked about changing something at linebacker. Does that affect Jonathan? Because he seemed to play really well that first game, his first start. Does Jonathan Jackson, does that change him at linebacker?
No.
So talk about him in his first game there at linebacker, the fact that he had a couple big plays for you.
Well, he's a good player, and I use the old Chinese proverb, as ye practice, ye shall play. And what you saw the other night's the way he practices every day. And good things happen to guys that work hard. He's extremely talented. He's slimmed down over the offseason, got himself in great shape. He's just a good player, and we sure are glad that he plays for us.
Offensive line, who graded out the best for starters?
Drew Kelly probably had the best game overall, and then Corey Gammon was right behind him. And I was really proud of Corey. He has to make a lot of front calls. We're going to rely on him a lot this week. We're going to see probably more fronts in one game than we do, 5 or 6 games combined. So he's got his work cut out. But Drew's been a solid player for us for 4 years now. Corey, first game. Where it counted for him. I mean, he's been backing up Harris Biven for the past couple of years. So I thought I was really proud of him. I thought he played really well.
Piggybacking off of that, how important is your line going to be against guys like 94 and those guys? And that's the key for the game.
Well, that's the key every week. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how your defensive line and your offensive line play, I mean, that's going to determine who wins the game each and every week, hands down. And again, we got a huge task this week. I mean, we're going against a lot bigger guys. Neil and I talked about it on our radio show last night. In games like this, what gets you is that, we're 1.5 deep at certain spots, 2 at the best at other spots. And, you play a front like Louisville, they can rotate them every series, and you don't see much difference. I mean, it's still, the guy's still 320 pounds and can still run fast, and that takes its toll on an offensive line. And now we're a big line. Don't get me wrong. Other than Corey, he's the run of the group. He's about 270, 275. But yeah, that's the key. That's in games like this. That's probably the most difficult place to be, is in the trenches.
How do you evaluate your team playing a team like Louisville going up a level? Obviously, completely different. Evaluate your team playing a team that's down a level like Union.
Well, I'm not sure, how to answer the question. I'm not, you go pretty much the same way you do every week. I mean, did you have great effort? Did you know your assignments? How was the execution? Did you go where you're supposed to go when you're supposed to be there? Those are big things. And and even when you play Union, did you do all that stuff? Did you finish the block? Against Louisville, you'll do the same thing. I mean, how'd you do? And now, you look at it, if you just, the guy was just physically better than you and you didn't execute it quite as well. I mean, it is what it is as far as that goes. But, it's the same game. I mean, you got to go out there and play it, and we'll coach them up after the ball game just like we do any other week.
Just one other question on playing Louisville. Do your players look forward to something like this, or they'd rather be playing the game?
It's hard to say, Neil. Again, I'm always excited about play, and I'm excited for our players to have the opportunity to go play it in a bigger venue. You'd have to ask them. I always joke about it. I say, hey man, it's fun all the way to toe meets leather, and then you get your paycheck and go home. And I know there's upsets that occur every week. We're going in. We've been working on Louisville since Friday, all weekend long as a coaching staff. I mean, we're preparing to go up there and put the best game plan in that puts our players in the best position to be successful, like we do every week, and go up there and try to win the game. I mean, that's our goal. But, there's another part of you is, if you don't, hey, I mean, did you play hard? Did you go out there and have a good time like we talk about every week? Did you know your assignments? Did we improve in the areas that we discussed after the Union game? To me, those are the important things when you go up to, you play a team that's higher than you. Now, whether they enjoy it or not, I think they do. And then I think sometimes that the reality hits, once you get into the ball game. So, maybe it's a bonus that Louisville had a big game last night. Maybe they'll be a little tired, and maybe they'll, be a little down emotionally come Saturday. All those things come into play. So you never know. That's the reason you go play the game each and every week.